The crash should have killed me. My shuttle had spiraled into the crystalline moon's atmosphere like a dying comet. Systems screaming failure alerts until everything went black. When consciousness returned, I found myself lying on something soft that hummed with warmth, surrounded by walls that pulsed with gentle azure light. You wake at last. Stotravala. The voice was melodic, layered with harmonics that made my translator implants struggle. I turned my head and forgot how to breathe. She stood beside what I now realized was some kind of healing bed. Tall and powerfully built, with skin that shimmered between deep violet and midnight blue. Intricate bioluminescent patterns traced along her arms, neck, and face like living tattoos, shifting colors with each breath. Her eyes were enormous silver with flecks of gold, and her hair fell in dark waves shot through with threads that sparkled like stars. "I am Crown Princess Vexhari of the Luminor people," she said, one hand resting on the curved sword at her hip. "You fell from the heavens 3 cycles ago. My scouts found your vessel broken upon the singing crystals." I tried to sit up, wincing. "Thank you for saving me. I'm Marcus Chen, engineer from the Earth colonies. My ship is beyond repair." She interrupted, but not unkindly. "The crystals consumed much of it already. They hunger for metals." She moved closer, and I noticed she wore armor that seemed grown rather than forged, following the curves of her athletic frame. "But this is not misfortune, Marcus Chen. This is destiny." Destiny. Her luminescent markings brightened, cycling through colors I couldn't name. 3 nights before your arrival, the Star Singers performed the rite of celestial binding. They saw a mate descending from the void for me, one whose heart beats to rhythms unknown to our world. She reached out, her hand hovering over my chest. "Your heart, traveler. The stars marked you as mine." I stared at her, certain my translator had malfunctioned. "I'm sorry, what? You are to be my husband," she said simply, as if discussing the weather. "The twin moons will align in 7 cycles. By then, you must heal, learn our ways, and choose your position." Her smile revealed teeth slightly too sharp. "Come, I will show you your new home." Princess Vexhari's citadel rose from the crystalline landscape like frozen music, its spires reaching toward the massive gas giant that dominated the sky. As she led me through corridors that seemed carved from solidified light, I struggled to process everything. "Your people believe in arranged marriages by prophecy?" I asked, still limping slightly despite the remarkable healing I'd undergone. "Not arranged," she corrected, glancing back at me. "Revealed, the stars show us truths we cannot see ourselves. For generations, my bloodline has ruled because we trust what the cosmos tells us." She paused at a massive window overlooking what appeared to be a city of crystalline towers. "My mother was matched with a humble crystal singer. He became her greatest advisor, helping broker peace with 3 neighboring systems. The city below thrummed with light, buildings resonating in patterns that might have been communication. And you're okay with this?" Being told who to marry, Vexhari turned fully, her warrior's posture softening slightly. "I have trained since childhood to lead my people in battle and diplomacy. I have commanded fleets and negotiated treaties with beings that would terrify you." Her markings pulsed with warm amber tones. "But in matters of the heart, Marcus Chen, I am wise enough to trust wisdom greater than my own." She led me to a suite of rooms that took my breath away. The walls showed the cosmos itself, somehow displaying real-time views of distant nebulae and star clusters. "These will be your chambers until the binding ceremony. Learn our language, your implant will help. Study our customs. Attend the council sessions if you wish." "And then what?" I asked. "You mentioned choosing a position." "Yes." She stepped closer, close enough that I could see constellations reflected in her silver eyes. "In 7 cycles, when the ceremony concludes, you will choose your role in my life and in our kingdom. This is sacred. The stars may choose our partners, but we choose how we walk together." "What are the options?" Her smile was mysterious. "You will learn. Each carries honor, each carries responsibility. Some husbands become shield bearers, protecting their wife in battle. Others become voice carriers, speaking truth in the political arena. Some become crown consorts, ruling as equals." She touched my cheek gently, her skin warm and electric. "And some simply become beloved, choosing love over duty. That's a lot to decide in a week. Then you should begin learning immediately." She moved toward the door, then paused. "Marcus Chen, the prophecy spoke of a star traveler who would change everything. I do not yet know if that means changing me, my people, or the very stars themselves." Her luminescence brightened, but I find myself, eager to discover which it will be. The next cycles passed in a blur of overwhelming wonder and frustrating confusion. Vexhari assigned me a tutor, an elderly Luminor named Kethmer, whose markings had faded to pale silver with age. He proved patient with my stumbling attempts to understand their culture. "The 4 positions are not hierarchies," he explained as we sat in a garden where crystalline flowers chimed in the wind. "They are different expressions of partnership. The shield bearer lives for protection, always at their partner's side in danger. The voice carrier serves as conscience and advisor, the one who may speak freely even when others cannot. And the crown I asked, taking notes on a datapad I'd salvaged from my shuttle. rules equally, bears equal responsibility for all decisions of state. It is the heaviest burden. Kethmer's eyes studied me carefully. The beloved carries the lightest load. They exist to bring joy, to remind their partner why we fight and strive. They keep the heart alive when duty threatens to consume it. I watched Vexhari across the garden, where she sparred with 3 of her guards simultaneously. She moved like liquid lightning, her sword singing as it deflected multiple blades. Even in practice, she was magnificent. She's incredible, I murmured. She is crown princess of the Luminor Ascendancy, commander of 12 battle fleets, negotiator of the Twilight Accords, Kethmer said. She carries the weight of 16 billion souls. He leaned closer. What she needs, Marcus Chen, may not be what you expect. That night, Vexhari joined me for a meal in my chambers. She'd traded her armor for flowing robes that made her bioluminescent patterns dance like Aurora Borealis across her skin. You're learning quickly, she observed. Trying the earth coffee I'd managed to synthesize. Kethmer says your mind is adaptable. I'm trying. Your culture is beautiful, but complex. I hesitated. Can I ask you something personal? We are to be married. Everything is personal now. What do you want? Not what the prophecy says. Not what your people need. What does Vexhari want? Her markings flickered through several colors before settling on deep blue. I have never been asked that question. She was quiet for a long moment. I want someone who sees me, not the princess, not the warrior, not the symbol, just ... me. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. I want someone I can be weak with. Marcus, just sometimes. I reached across the table and took her hand. Her skin was warm, electric with subtle energy. Then that's what I'll try to be. She smiled, and for the first time, it reached her eyes completely. The twin moons began their convergence on the 6th cycle, casting double shadows across the citadel. I'd spent every available moment studying Luminor customs, attending council sessions, and trying to understand the woman I was apparently destined to marry. Vexhari was everything the prophecy promised: brilliant, strong, compassionate, yet fierce. But I'd also seen her late at night, bioluminescent markings dimmed with exhaustion, reviewing casualty reports from border skirmishes. I'd watched her navigate political intrigue that would have baffled experienced Earth diplomats. I'd seen the weight she carried. Tomorrow, the moons align, she said, finding me on one of the observation decks. Tomorrow, you choose. I still don't understand something, I admitted. Why does the husband choose? Shouldn't this be a mutual decision? She leaned against the railing, looking out at the crystalline landscape. It is an old tradition, from darker times. Once, our queens could command their mates to fill whatever role they desired. But a wise ruler learned that forced service breeds resentment. Now, we offer choice. Her markings shifted to contemplative purple. The position you choose tells me what you value, what you offer, who you truly are. And if I choose wrong, there is no wrong choice. Marcus, only honest ones and dishonest ones. She turned to face me fully. A shield bearer who desires power will fail. A crown consort who craves safety will crumble. A voice carrier who cannot speak truth is worthless. Her hand found mine. Choose what calls to your heart, and trust that the stars knew what they were doing. That night, I barely slept. I reviewed everything I'd learned, everything I'd seen. Each position had merit. As shield bearer, I could stand beside her in battle, though my engineering skills were better suited to building than fighting. As voice carrier, I could offer perspective from outside her culture, but was I wise enough for that responsibility? As crown consort, I could help rule an empire, but did I have the strength? And the beloved... It seemed almost insulting to choose comfort over duty, joy over responsibility. What kind of man would I be? Just before dawn, Vexhari came to my chambers. She wore traditional ceremonial robes, and her markings blazed with luminescence. It is time, Marcus Chen. The moons have begun their alignment. She led me to the highest chamber of the citadel, where ancient glyphs covered every surface. They began to glow as we entered, responding to her presence. Here, before the witnesses of stone and starlight, you will speak your choice, she said formally. But then her voice softened. Just for me, whatever you choose, know that I am grateful the stars brought you to me. The glyphs blazed brighter, and I felt the weight of this alien world, this alien culture, this extraordinary woman, all focusing on this single moment. The chamber thrummed with ancient power as the twin moons aligned overhead, their light streaming through crystal apertures. Vexhari stood before me, radiant and regal, yet I could see the slight tension in her shoulders, the way her markings flickered between hopeful gold and uncertain blue. The glyphs demanded an answer. The tradition required a declaration. I've thought about each position, I began, my voice steadier than I expected. Shield bearer would let me protect you, but you have guards more skilled than I'll ever be. Voice carrier would give me political influence, but you have advisors who've studied statecraft for lifetimes. Her markings dimmed slightly, and I realized she thought I was building toward refusing the bond entirely. Crown consort would make me your equal in power, I continued, and maybe one day I could grow into that role. But Vexhari, I stepped closer, taking both her hands. I've watched you these 7 cycles. I've seen you command fleets and negotiate peace. I've seen you make decisions that affect billions. And I've seen what it costs you. The room had gone absolutely silent. You told me you wanted someone who sees you, someone you can be weak with. I squeezed her hands gently. You don't need another warrior or politician or you have plenty of those. What you need, what Vexari, the person, needs. Not the princesses, someone who reminds you why all that duty matters. Her markings began to shift through colors I'd never seen before. I choose, beloved, I said clearly, watching her eyes widen. Not because it's easier, but because I think it might be the hardest and most important role of all. I choose to be your sanctuary, your joy, your reminder that there's more to life than burden and responsibility. I smiled. I choose to love you, Vex. Everything else we can figure out together. For a heartbeat, she simply stared. Then her markings exploded with brilliant gold, brighter than I'd ever seen, and she pulled me into a kiss that tasted like stardust and electricity and hope. When we finally parted, she was crying luminescent tears that glowed as they traced down her cheeks. In all the prophecies, in all the interpretations, I never dared hope. She touched my face wonderingly. Do you know how many choose power? How many see only the crown and not the woman who wears it? Then they're fools, I said simply. She laughed. The sound pure and unguarded, and the ancient glyphs pulsed with approval. The stars were wiser than I knew, she whispered, pulling me close again. Her lips found my ear. Tell me the position you prefer. I'm yours. I understood now. It wasn't about choosing rank or duty. It was about choosing her Oliver, the princess and the woman, the warrior and the person who needed someone to fight for her heart instead of her kingdom. Right here, I answered, holding her tight. Right beside you, for however long the stars allow. The twin moons completed their alignment overhead, bathing us in silver light, and I knew that whatever destiny had brought me to this crystalline world, crashing through the atmosphere to find this extraordinary woman, I wouldn't change a single moment. Outside, the citadel's crystals began to sing, their resonance carrying the news across the moon. The prophecy was fulfilled, and the crown princess had found not just a husband, but a partner who chose her heart over her crown. And in that high chamber, with ancient blessings glowing around us, Vexari and I began writing our own story. The stars had guided us to, but that we would write together, one choice at a time.